Welcome to our very first deep dive. I'm so glad you could join us as we kick off this series. It's all about making English a little less, well, a little less mysterious and a lot more approachable. That's kind of our mission here at Talk 4 Impact, wouldn't you say?
Definitely.
And guess what? Today we are diving headfirst into the world of business English.
That's right. And a lot of people I think might hear business English and immediately think, well, that's not for me. But trust me, whether you consider yourself an entrepreneur or an artist or even a student, mastering business English can really open doors for you.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Paint me a picture. Why is this kind of English so important, even if I don't work in a quote-unquote business setting?
Well, just think about it this way. Over 1.5 billion people all around the world speak English. It's the language of global trade, cutting-edge technology, international conferences. Basically, it's the language that the world uses to connect and do business.
So it's like a universal language, even beyond the boardroom.
Exactly. And for you, that could mean landing that dream job overseas, collaborating on a big project with people from different countries, or even just navigating a business trip with confidence. Strong business English skills can be the key to unlocking all of those opportunities.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But okay, let's be honest, we've all been there, right? Sending an email that's either way too casual or stiff as a boardroom table. What are some of those common business English blunders that we should avoid?
Oh, there are a few classics. One of the biggest, I think, is using informal language in professional settings. For example, you wouldn't want to start an email to your boss with, "Hey, what's up?"
Definitely not.
Yeah.
So how do we strike that balance between friendly and professional?
It's all about choosing the right tone and the right language. Instead of saying, "Hey, what's up? Can you send me the report ASAP?" Try something like, "Hello, name. Could you please send me the report at your earliest convenience? Thank you." It's a small change, but it makes a big difference.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of this just comes down to being more mindful of the context. What other pitfalls should we be aware of?
Another common trap is writing overly long emails. I'm talking paragraphs upon paragraphs of dense text. And it can be really overwhelming for the reader, and often it obscures the main point.
Oh, I've definitely been guilty of that myself. Sometimes I feel like I need to explain every little detail.
I understand, but in the world of business, clarity and conciseness are king. Instead of writing a novel, get straight to the point. Use bullet points if you need to, and always include a clear call to action so the reader knows what you want them to do.
So less is more when it comes to business communication.
Absolutely. And it's not just about quantity, but it's also about quality. You could send a really short email, but it could still be confusing or unprofessional.
Right, so we've covered informal language and lengthy emails. What's the third big mistake people tend to make?
This one's a little trickier because it involves navigating cultural differences. Remember, English is spoken all over the world, but that doesn't mean that every culture uses it in the same way in a business context.
So it's not just about the words themselves, but it's about understanding the cultural nuances behind them.
Exactly. For instance, in the US and the UK, direct communication is valued. Being clear and concise is seen as efficient. But in some cultures, like Japan or parts of the Middle East, directness can be perceived as rude or confrontational.
That's a really good point. So how do we avoid accidentally stepping on toes when communicating across cultures?
It all starts with awareness and a willingness to learn. Before you hit send on that email or jump into a meeting, do a little research on the business culture of the people you're interacting with. And when in doubt, err on the side of politeness and formality.
Yeah, I can see how that would make a huge difference in building trust and rapport. So far, we've talked about the why of business English and some common pitfalls to avoid. But how can we actually level up our skills and really shine in professional settings? That's what I'm really eager to learn.
That's a great question. And that's where the fun begins. It's not just about avoiding mistakes. It's about mastering the art of communication, in meetings, presentations, and even negotiations.
Oh, you're making me feel like a secret agent getting prepped for a mission. Let's start with meetings. I always found them a bit intimidating, especially in a professional setting.
I think a lot of people can relate to that. One common challenge is knowing how to participate effectively without, interrupting rudely.
Oh, yes. I've been in so many meetings where I've wanted to contribute but wasn't sure how to jump into the conversation.
That's where mastering those subtle yet powerful phrases for polite interruptions comes in handy. Instead of abruptly cutting someone off, try something like, "Excuse me, may I add something here?" Or, "I see your point and I'd like to build on that."
I love how those phrases convey both respect and confidence. It's not just about butting in, it's about adding value to the discussion.
Exactly. And what happens when you find yourself in a meeting and you're not quite sure what's going on? It can happen to the best of us.
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes I feel like I'm nodding along, but I've completely missed the point.
Don't be afraid to ask for clarification. It's much better than pretending you understand and then making decisions based on incomplete information.
So how do we ask for clarification without sounding clueless?
Keep it simple and direct. You could say, "Could you clarify that for me, please?" Or, "I'm not sure I follow. Could you explain that again?"
Those are great. I'm already feeling more confident about handling those tricky meeting situations. But what about presentations? I think those are even more nerve-wracking.
Presentations can definitely be daunting, but they're also a fantastic opportunity to showcase your expertise and your ideas. One of the keys to delivering a compelling presentation is structure.
So it's like building a house. You need a solid foundation and a well-defined framework.
That's a great analogy. And just like you wouldn't build a house without a blueprint, you shouldn't deliver a presentation without a clear roadmap. That's where signposting language comes in.
Signposting language, what's that?
It's essentially using phrases and transitions to guide your audience through your presentation. You might say something like, "First, I'll discuss the background of the project. Then next, we'll explore the key findings. And finally, to wrap things up, I'll outline our recommendations."
So it's like giving your audience those helpful signs you see at the airport, guiding them to their destination.
Precisely. Signposting language helps your audience stay engaged and follow your train of thought, even when presenting complex information.
That's incredibly helpful. But let's move on to what I think is the most challenging aspect of business communication: negotiations. It feels like a high-stakes game where you need to be on top of your game.
Negotiations can definitely be intense, but they don't have to be scary. The key is to approach them with a clear strategy and the right language tools.
All right, I'm ready to learn. Give you those negotiation secrets.
Well, it all starts with being able to confidently propose your terms. For instance, if you're negotiating a contract, you might say, "We propose a 10% discount for a 2-year commitment." Notice how clear and direct that is.
I like it. It leaves no room for misinterpretation. But what about responding to an offer that's not quite what we're looking for?
If you're happy with the offer, you can simply say, "That sounds great, let's move forward." But if you need to counter, you can use phrases like, "That's an interesting offer. However, we were hoping for something closer to a 15% discount."
So we're acknowledging their offer while also standing firm on our needs. What about when it's time to seal the deal?
Once you've reached an agreement, you can use phrases like, "I think we have a deal," or "Let's finalize the details and get this partnership rolling."
These phrases sound so powerful. I can already picture myself confidently navigating a negotiation and coming out on top. But let's shift gears a bit. How can we improve our business English on a day-to-day basis, outside of specific meetings or presentations?
That's a great question. The key is to make business English a part of your daily life. One of the most effective ways to do this is to read business news regularly.
You mean like the Wall Street Journal or Forbes? Isn't that stuff kind of dry?
It might seem that way at first, but trust me, those publications are packed with valuable insights and vocabulary that you can apply to your own communication.
So it's like a sneaky way to learn while staying informed about the business world.
Exactly. And don't just passively read, actively engage with the material. Highlight key phrases, look up unfamiliar words, and try to summarize the main points in your own words.
I can see how that would really help with comprehension and vocabulary building. What other tips do you have for incorporating business English into our routines?
Another great exercise is to practice writing business emails. You could even find a language partner and exchange emails for feedback.
That's a brilliant idea. I'm going to look for a language partner right away. What about improving our listening skills?
Watching business talks is an excellent way to do just that. TED Talks are a fantastic resource, and you can also find tons of corporate presentations and webinars online.
I love TED Talks. They're always so inspiring.
And if you're really serious about taking your business English to the next level, consider enrolling in a specialized course.
So there are courses specifically designed for business English. What do they typically cover?
They delve into the nuances of grammar, vocabulary, and cultural etiquette specific to business communication. You'll also get plenty of opportunities to practice your speaking and writing skills in realistic scenarios.
This is all so incredibly helpful. I'm already feeling more motivated to step up my business English game.
Wow, I have to say I'm feeling a lot more energized about tackling the world of business English after this deep dive.
That's what we'd like to hear. And remember, becoming fluent in any language, especially business English, is a journey, not a sprint. Every step you take, every new phrase you master, brings you closer to your goals. It's like that old saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And we've taken some pretty giant steps today, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. We've uncovered why business English is so crucial in today's interconnected world. We debunked some common myths and mistakes, and we armed you with some really practical tips to boost your communication skills across meetings, presentations, and even negotiations.
We've gone from crafting clear and concise emails to confidently navigating those sometimes tricky interpersonal dynamics.
And the beauty of it is you can start implementing these strategies right away, whether you're reading business articles, practicing email writing with a language partner, or getting inspired by those brilliant TED Talks. There are countless ways to just weave business English into your everyday life.
It all boils down to taking action, even if it's just small, consistent steps. Those little efforts can snowball into some pretty significant progress.
Exactly. And always remember, even seemingly small improvements can have a huge impact on your confidence and effectiveness when communicating in professional settings. So keep practicing, stay curious, and embrace that global mindset. It's an exciting world out there.
Before we wrap up this first deep dive, let's take a moment to recap the key takeaways. We've discovered that business English isn't just about jargon and formality. It's a powerful tool that can unlock a world of opportunities, no matter your field or aspirations.
Well said. And as we explore today, it's about clarity, professionalism, and cultural sensitivity. It's about forging connections, building relationships, and achieving success in the global marketplace.
And now, before we sign off, we want to hear from you. What are some of the biggest challenges you face when it comes to business English? Do you have any tried and true tips that have helped you along the way? Share your experiences and insights with us. We're all in this learning journey together.
We firmly believe that everyone has the potential to master business English and unlock incredible opportunities. So keep learning, keep growing, and we'll see you in our next deep dive. Until then, keep those conversations flowing.